right, we're back. The road, the stage, Mr. Michaels, Peter Michaels.
Mr. Bateman, Patrick Bateman. We left off on a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Yes, a cliffhanger of well, not like suspense, not intensity.
No.
It was just fun.
It was just a cliffhanger. It was a conversation that was absolutely amazing that had to be split in two.
Yeah. It was a great time. I'm excited to listen to it again because it's been a couple weeks.
Yep.
But last week we played part one with Gordie Johnson from Big Sugar. I've had a pretty amazing career since the early 90s, mid 90s?
Well, I mean,
late
even
80s?
into the 80s, right? Like,
Right.
I think a lot of that, the production stuff that he was doing, I think he mentioned he was in his early 20s, which would have been into the 80s. So
my buddy and I used to work on a golf course, and Digging a Hole by Big Sugar was kind of like just a song because you'd be digging holes.
One of my favorite concert experiences was not a Big Sugar show, but Gordie was involved. It happened at a place in Red Deer called The Zone, which is no longer around.
The Zone.
But
was it the local laser tag place?
No, but there's another story with that for another time. The Zone was just whatever. It was just this little hole in the wall in the corner of a building. Didn't even look like it'd be a venue, but it was. And a few shows. It wasn't around long, but there was a few shows there. Anyways, one night the Trews had come into play, and Gordie does summer in Red Deer.
Right.
Which, as we know, his wife is from. And, so Gordie just showed up at the show unannounced, and they did 5 Big Sugar tunes as the encore that night with Gordie.
Wait, did they must have known that.
Well, I don't know at what point
they
they
just
would have.
rehearsed Big Sugar tunes all the time?
I'd have no idea at what point they would have known. I'm sure at some point Gordie would have said, hey, I'm in Red Deer. You guys are here in a month. So they would have, I'm sure, had some kind of knowledge. No, they're just that good.
Well,
they're just that good.
See? Life is like wrestling. Some of it's scripted. So enjoy part 2 coming up in just a minute with Gordie Johnson from Big Sugar. Huge shout out to him for stopping by, and again, our first in-person interview,
face to face.
Which is crazy for a couple of guys who've been doing interviews for. Well, you've been doing interviews for 35 years or something, right?
At least 80, I think.
Something like that. So it was nice. It was nice to have someone in the studio.
Other than the two of us. I mean, we kind of get tired of looking at each other.
That's true. So I just look at whatever that is. Mr. What's his name? Scully. Scully. Right.
Huge shout out to Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewery, Tourism Red Deer, Beau's Bar and Stage.
Yep. Communal Creative Studios, where we record all of our podcasts.
And where we recorded this one, part 2, with Gordie Johnson of Big Sugar.
You seem to have a pretty healthy perspective with that stuff, though. I know we talked a year ago. We did a video call while you and Alex were down in Texas. So it was actually like the day before you released Eternity Now. But you I'd been talking to a lot of bands. The pandemic was underway, a lot of disappointment. You had a very zen, just like rock star problems who gives a shit.
Yeah, right?
Like, you've been through it all. You know, much like Gibbons said, like it will be fine. Everything will be all right. Did any part of you kind of, start getting anxious or eager to buy into some of those rock star problems now that we're a year later?
Because honestly, at that time when you guys did that interview, everybody was still under the assumption, a few weeks, month or so, maybe we'll be out of this.
4-week lockdown.
Yeah.
I remember that. I heard that phrase knocked around a few times. We just stopped having Zoom calls with our agent. It was just like, I mean, we can if you just want to talk about stuff and things, but we're not talking about shows. I mean, even now, we don't have a bunch of shows booked because I'm looking at it. What I'm starting to see now are, on Instagram and Facebook or some of our friends who are in bands, we regret to inform our fans that the following shows are now going to be canceled because COVID numbers, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm just going to wait it out. I've seen Mother Nature at her worst. I've got a recording studio. I've got nice guitars. I have access to good food, clean water. I'm with my loved ones. I can make music. I can make, like I mentioned earlier, beautiful cinematic 4K videos on your phone in your pocket. It's pretty cool to learn some new skills. I got into the whole Adobe video editing of done fundraising telethons for the animal shelter. You know, I mean, that's not very rock and roll, but it gave me some new skills, a little more independence. I don't need to. I'm not at the mercy of video editors and album cover designers and all. I can edit my own photos, design my own album cover, make my own videos, create a series of videos if I want. Over the lockdown, I put out 12 blues videos. I recorded blues songs with friends, musicians from all over the places. You got an iPhone? I'll tell you how to set it. Okay, now set it over to see where it says 4K. Yeah, yes, that one. These guys they've got these expensive phones. I have no idea how to use them. I tell them how to set it up, and send me your audio. Everyone's got a little recording rig, and made all these videos with my homies, and started answering questions online. I thought, why don't I just make a video answering the questions? So I started putting out a little series. We put out 24 episodes of that. Universal Music put out a vinyl reissue of Hemivision from 1996, or the Dig in a Hole record. Well, we can't tour. We can't do any shows. What can we do? Oh, no. What do we do? I'm like, I got an idea.
Yeah.
It was like, and I don't have to leave home. You had me at sit down. So, so we re-recorded the entire Hemivision record. I just played everything myself. I know how the songs go. I played them all, videotaped myself, got my friends on each song to send me a video of yourself. Here's the track. Warren Haynes went in the studio and recorded himself on a couple of songs. Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes at home recorded himself singing. So we got all these duets. I got Colin James and Jason McCoy and all my friends sending me videos to be in the Hemivision reissue concert. I couldn't have probably pulled that off if we had to book a venue somewhere.
Right.
Try to get everyone on the same night available.
Yep.
Hotels and flights and all the rest of it. It starts to get kind of undoable. But what a fantastic way to have a record release. Yeah, sure, cool. However, the little bit of a learning curve, like when you're trying to live stream, upload stuff that's really high quality.
Mm-hmm.
I had this great idea. Remember we had a song called If I Have My Way? And the crowd every night sings, If I Have My Way. I thought, it'd be really cool. Let's get fans to send us, just on your iPhone, just sing, If I Have My Way. We'll put it in the video and the live stream. We'll put it in there. We got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So I was frantically trying to upload those and edit them into of course, everyone's got a different damn phone. You've got an Android, you've got a Huawei, you've got an iPhone. You have an iPhone 5? Dude, these things were not compatible. It was glitching.
And how are they sent to you? Were they uploaded? Did you have a place to upload them?
Oh, they were coming via Facebook Messenger and our management email, and there's all these janky ways of sending to WhatsApp. I'm like, what the hell is what is all this stuff? Oh my God, it crashed. Everything crashed and burned. We were a day late putting it on. I was like, remember we said to light the live thing tonight? Well, I've been editing this video for the last 36 hours, and tonight's not that night.
Is producer Ryley cringing back there somewhere? Yeah, okay.
I was like, dude, I can't remember how to sing and play a guitar right now. This is gonna have to. I solved all the issues, and we were eventually able to broadcast that and play along with it. And it turned out really great. But the fan footage just completely annihilated it.
So many different formats and sizes.
It was horrible. It was amazingly horrible.
You also just reissued 500 pounds on vinyl.
Yeah.
Sold out, right?
In about 3 hours.
So
we're looking at trying to get another pressing.
Which is taking a long time for everyone, right?
Well, vinyl, there's a huge demand for it. But a lot of places had slowed down and cut back to half of their staff. The people weren't showing up in person. So there's a huge backlog of need to make vinyl, to manufacture vinyl.
And
So
it's
we're-
special. It's a special
Are there more
Yeah.
plants doing it now? Because I thought I had heard at one point there was only a couple of plants in the world that were actually producing.
At any given time, there are only a couple because people invest in them. They have this great idea. More than once, I've met a bunch of young, ambitious dudes who were opening a vinyl factory, and I went and saw all the machines. We got these from the Czech Republic, and we got these machines from, the Mormon church in Utah. They sent us this stuff, and like, oh, this amazing equipment. Year and a half later, they're out of business. It's a hard game, man. I mean, it's vinyl is more popular than it's been in decades, but you still can't really sell the numbers that you would like to make a go of it. It has to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's just physical realities to vinyl that you forget about. You can make an album and put it on iTunes. You can have 24 songs on it. Knock yourself out, prog rockers. Make your album 3 hours long if you want.
Yeah.
But when it's on vinyl, we'll just make it a double disc. That means it's twice the weight, which is twice the cost of shipping.
Yeah.
You can fit half as many. Remember when you could put 50 in a box? Now there's only 25 in a box.
Yeah.
You're so smart. Well, now what are you going to do? Like, you've doubled your costs of packaging, shipping, everything. Then the customer goes, how come it's $48? Oh, dude, I wish I could sell it to you for $12.
Yeah.
He physically can't, so there's, that stings a little bit. You love to think, but when I was a kid, I was buying Led Zeppelin records for $10.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
$9.95 or whatever. Sam the Record Man. So cool. That was cool back then. It's a little harder. The infrastructure is not there either. It's a little harder to distribute this stuff. So we're sticking with it. I love it as a format. Nothing sounds like it. The artwork is super
Well, and
badass,
those albums weren't released on vinyl
Yeah, that's what
No,
I
in the
wanted
first
to know.
place, right?
No,
so
in the
this is the
first
first
place.
time for these ones to get.
Because it was that dark period
Yeah.
in the 1990s where digital was, a compact disc was blowing people's minds.
Yeah.
Everything was getting reissued. Box sets on compact disc. Stuff from the 1950s and 60s on compact disc. Are you kidding? I'll never need this vinyl again. Got rid of it. Whoops. So yeah, we unfortunately, a bunch of our better work falls in this dark period where there was people just didn't do that.
Just cassette and CD.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to know. Was that like a big deal for you to be able to press that on vinyl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
it's a beautiful
yeah.
package too.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, the day I got the test pressings and put them on, was like, wow, I'm for real. A rock star. I got an album on
Yeah.
a turntable. Not everyone gets to do that. That's
So
pretty
back
cool.
in 1993 when that album came out, like, were artists like yourselves or your, whatever it is, like, were they wishing that they could release vinyl? Was that even a thought because it wasn't possible?
I don't think it occurred to people back then. And that's when I started to collect vinyl records voraciously.
Okay.
Like hundreds of country records were acquired when I'd go to radio stations to do interviews. Big Sugar talking about digging a hole,
Yeah.
being in the rock radio and being in these buildings and saying, hey, you got a country station here? Yeah, down the hall, or Kicks FM is or whatever,
Yeah.
Just go down the hall. Hey, have y'all got any vinyl records?
Collecting dust.
Because they're not using them.
Yeah.
anymore.
No, I've got about 8 boxes from our station
I've got
after that. And then
every-
nothing.
Crazy.
Every Buck Owens record, every Loretta Lynn record, every, Charlie Pride record, anything they had, we would just go through them, and we'd just be fighting. I mean, we got into punch-ups with the other band members over who was getting what record. What, Patsy Cline, I just saw it first. I don't care if you play harmonica. This is me. I got here first. And we actually walked out one day with a turntable. Like the station got the engineer to come and unhook the wires and take it, and walked out with the turntable, a really expensive, beautiful Techniques turntable. So that was the golden age of acquiring
Yes.
stuff. So my record collection, turned into this enormous, megalithic structure in the middle of my house.
And you have enough copies to have in different parts of the world with your guitars.
No, but I do have enough copies. There are certain records, I have a copy that's still in shrink wrap. It's absolutely pristine and clean, and then 3 other copies in various states of. So depending who's over and how drunk we are, we're putting on vinyl records. It's like, oh, this Zeppelin 4, maybe we'll play this one today. It's the the one where the cover's almost worn off.
Yeah.
We'll play that one.
Next.
You know, it's great. I grew up with my dad had a copy of Sgt. Pepper's.
Was my imitation of Robert Plant on 50-year-old vinyl.
It's pretty good.
I still, like, when I hear Lucy in the Sky, there's still a skip that hits because the record had a scratch in it and a little skip. And to this day, I can hear that song and I know exactly where the scratch was on that record.
I heard on the radio recently, talk about muscle memory. I just name dropped Zeppelin 4, but that's a record that, you know, if you grew up in that time, you just knew every groove of that record. In the song Rock and Roll, in the fade out of the outro, in the last part of that song, ooh yeah, there's a mistake. There's a mistake in it. And if I showed you where the mistake is, you wouldn't believe me. You'd listen to it and go, well, no, it's not a mistake. That sounds right. It does sound right because you've listened to it since 1970.
Right.
In the outro, they skip a bar. Somebody in the band skipped a bar and they missed a cue or something. It's not a train wreck, but it's like it's a 12-bar blues rock and roll song, but they miss a bar. There's an 11-bar phrase in the outro. But Jimmy Page has gone and they've reissued, of course. Zep 4 has been reissued in box set and CDs, and another box set as a DVD, and another box set as this, and now it's remastered for iTunes, and the remastered version, they fixed it. Wrong. It's so wrong. I heard it on the radio, and I just about pulled off the road. I'm like, what the hell did you do to my laptop? What did you do, Jimmy Page? What were you thinking?
You don't get to do that.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
It was fine. Were people asking for refunds? I don't think so. What have
Most people didn't even notice.
Oh my God, what have you done? What have you done? You mustn't do that. Leave it alone.
So now it's going to be tough for us to hear that original one probably then, eh?
Put it on. You'll hear.
Yeah,
now
I'm
if you
gonna
put
do
it on,
that.
now I've told you that.
Yeah.
Listen to it all the way to the end and you're going to go, ooh, yeah. Ooh. There's an extra ooh, yeah in there now. Why? Why is there an extra one now? Yeah. Just because you can.
That being said, it must have been super relieving for him because obviously
It must have bugged him
decades.
for decades. Oh, poor Jimmy Page. Can you imagine?
Has there ever been anything you recorded and had a little mistake that you left in? Like you think of like Roxanne has that off piano note in it. I think in Jack White, Yellow Moon, is it Yellow Moon that has there's like a kitchen drawer or something opens and there's a clank in the background
Oh no, I didn't know
that they just decided to leave in. Have you guys ever done anything like that?
I love that stuff.
Right. Well, that's rock and roll,
leave
right?
Stuff
They're supposed
in,
to be.
otherwise, why? That's why music sucks now. And young bands, you guys kind of suck because you come in the studio and you think you need it all to be perfect, but Jimi Hendrix was fine with it. Okay, Jimmy Page, sit down for a minute. Like John Bonham didn't play with a click track. Do your job. Make something awesome. We'll record it. We'll love it. And you point these things out to younger dudes. And I find I get really impatient. I'm sounding like a cranky old man. Get off my lawn while you're at it. But, you know, I got this, especially young guys who come in and their heroes are like AC/DC. And they want to, like, AC/DC, it's all about some AC/DC. But then they want, like, perfect, every guitar part to be perfect, and every kick drum hit, and every snare drum is sampled, and you want to auto-tune your vocal. You want to auto-tune your vocal? Have you listened to the vocal of You Shook Me All Night Long? Anybody? You know the note I'm talking about? At the end of You Shook Me All Night Long. The last note, all night long. It's not even a freaking note. The guy's voice is already like it's not notes anyway.
Yeah.
And his last all night shriek, he hits black ice. It just skids out onto the side of the road. They left it because who cares? By the end of You Shook Me All Night Long, if you're not a believer in rock and roll, you shouldn't have been here anyway. You've left the room or turned the dial or you believed it. Just leave it alone. It's fine. There's another great. I mean, I'm such a vinyl head, and I love the esoteric in rock and roll and the recordings. Bad Company's another one. I Can't Get Enough of Your Love has a horrible vocal mistake on it, where his voice just completely skates on Black Ice, and people have never asked for a refund.
As a matter of fact, Paul Rodgers gets credited as being one of the greatest, if not the greatest voice in rock history. Paul, he always gets.
It's fine. It's fine already. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Let people know you're also just a dude. You're allowed to be human. Like, there's string squeaks. Sometimes guitars go out of tune. That's why they sound so awesome. Otherwise, we'd all play keyboards. Come on, man. In fact, I'm a fan of keyboards that go out of tune. Like, for me, keyboards are pianos, clavinets, Hammond B3s. They're, if the voltage is wonky, a Hammond organ gets a little pitchy. Man. That's it. That's what makes it sound huge. So I'll leave that stuff all over. The vocal on Digging a Hole was the guide vocal to show Mr. Chill, the harmonica player, how to play the song. He'd never played it all the way through because we recorded it. We kind of made it in the studio. And so we just sat in the studio, let the track play, and I grabbed his harmonica mic and sang, okay, I'll sing, and then you sing with me, and then you play harp, and you'll get it. Look, we'll just run the tape. Got my head in a haze, and then two of us, and he sings some harmony, which isn't even really harmony because we're just working it out. He played some harmonica. I sang the same verse again. Maybe there was going to be a different verse, but I don't know. And we just did the same thing 3 times. Hey, man, we listened back to it and thought, that's cool.
Cool.
That's the only take there is or ever was.
Wow.
Is that one take with me holding the harmonica mic. So when the record company says, can we get a version with a clean vocal? And I said, nope. Well, we want one without harmonica because certain stations won't play it because it has harmonica in it.
Oh,
and
God.
I said, nope. Yeah, but it could go to number 1 if we, that's nice. If what? If what?
Wow.
Because why? Again, I'm sorry. Who are you again? What was your name again? What job do you do at the record company? That's just what I do. So just you do what you do, and I'll do what I do. That's cool.
Wow.
Just leave it at that. So yeah, if
Goddamn.
you put up those tracks later and you look at the multi-tracks and go, oh yeah, right. There's only one. That's all on one track, and we only did it once.
Wow.
It's a weird thing to demand that perfection in the studio like that, too, because you would have to be very confident in your live performance, the quality of your live performance, right? Because usually there's some sort of difference.
Well, look, I mean, it's important to break it down to its most basic component parts. It's communication, right? And it's a specific form of communication, which is entertainment. You know what I mean? So, in life you have, food, shelter, water, love and acceptance, TV shows and snacks. Guess which category we fall into? First of all, we fit into the TV shows and snacks category of communication and necessities for life. And then there's a subsection of, communication, TV show, snacks, rock and roll. Okay, we're not saving lives here, first of all. But you're communicating. Do you get your point across?
Mm-hmm.
Just stop there. Once you've got your point across, stop. Which guitar solo is the right one? The one that makes us all go, oh, hell yeah. When you start air guitaring to your own guitar solo, that's the one. That's the take. That's the one we want. Do I understand the words clearly? No, but man, I really know what the guy meant.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately that's how people will listen to it. It's the soundtrack to their lives. It's not their lives. It's your life. It seems very important to you when you're the guy behind the microphone. It's important to remember how it will be perceived later.
Yeah.
Did you get your point across? Some of the greatest records we love were made in a day. The entire record. They didn't give these bands months of years of indulgence to create their masterpieces. So people made masterpieces on Thursday. That's just what you did. So I still, we have this great maxim that I always adhere to when recording, and these are your three choices: tuning, timing, and attitude. Pick any two.
Okay.
Any two of those will do. Because all three is boring as hell. I have no time for that. But tuning, timing, and attitude. As long as you have two of those things, you get a singer who's got great rhythm and amazing attitude. It doesn't matter what note they sing. Yeah, you got a whole genre of music called punk rock.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy metal is not the guys, the Cookie Monster heavy metal singers. What notes he's singing? It has nothing to do with notes. It's timing and attitude. Those singers sing with amazing percussive, evocative intensity, right? That's why it's good. Sometimes you need singers that sing perfectly in time and perfectly in tune with zero attitude. Those are called backup singers. You need that.
Yeah.
You need these three people, 3 voices, 6 voices to sing perfectly in tune, perfectly in time. You're not the center of attention. That's why they fade into the background, right? Drummers, helps if they're in time. But, I always think about like the Who, the early Who records, timing. If you put those against a click track, there's no way they're in time. All attitude, right? All attitude. His drums sounded awesome, and they were infused with attitude.
Yeah.
That's enough.
And there's a legend behind those drums specifically now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that applies to every recording you can name. If it's worth listening to, especially in rock and roll. And the same's true for hip hop. They make hip hop. If you're a hip hop fan, I don't know, man. They're making hip hop so it's so perfect. I can't tell the difference from one artist to the next, and I don't care. It's all perfectly in time. It's all perfectly in tune.
it's overkill.
And it all has so much attitude that I can't even tell if you're a real person anymore. As opposed to guys who just had something they really needed to say. It didn't matter if it sounded like crap. They had timing. They had attitude. Producers would put samples together that weren't in tune with one another. That didn't stop people from being moved by it. So that's our tuning, timing, attitude. Pick any two.
Does intent play a factor at all of why the band is doing it? Like, again, you guys wrote those songs, did those things because it sounded cool. It just worked with all of you together. Are there too many bands that want that hit, right? They have their eye on something else. They have, a destination already in mind. They're not making music because it feels good, it sounds good to them, it's what they want to do, that maybe they have intent of manufacturing a hit, putting a song and getting down a certain lane.
I know how to do that. It's still valid. I'm not going to say that that's not a valid form of entertainment. That a lot of music in modern times gets made like that. There's an open slot, let's fill it. They need something that sounds like this, it's this long, it's about this. Oh, I just described country music, haven't I? But that's entirely valid. If it makes you hoist a beer at the cottage on the weekend and have a great time, cool. Listen to what pleases you. That's all good. That's a completely valid form of entertainment, and I don't look down at people who want to do that. I have the luxury of saying no to it. I have the luxury of being able to say, that's not what we do, and you're not dangling anything in front of me that's so compelling that I would drop what I'm doing to go and have some of that. That's not what we do. It's not what I like to listen to, and it's not what I need to do. So, I have helped bands make records for those purposes. You're just channeling.
Just a little formulaic, right?
There's a formula. You're channeling the flow of electrons to create, speakers that move so that people involuntarily go, hey, I think I like this. That's what it is. I know how to do it, but I don't enjoy doing it. It's a good trick. It's fun when you pull it off, but that's not really what I enjoy doing. I prefer the challenge of people who just really believe in their music and they do something so peculiarly unique that they're like, oh, let's try and get that out there and see what people think of it. I'd rather be on that side of history. I think I think I'm on that side.
I
Well,
should
and it
say-
sounds like based on that story you were telling us earlier about that vote of confidence from, was it your old producer, your original producer? It sounds
yeah.
like that kind of, I mean, that sounds like a really helpful moment in your career.
I've been fortunate enough to get, to get those phone calls every once in a while from your heroes. That to get a cold call from somebody you really admire can it reinforces for you, like just when you thought you should maybe second guess what you're doing. In 1998, I got a phone call in my hotel room. I was in Vancouver. We were playing at the Commodore Ballroom, and I got a phone call in my hotel room. Like, who knows I'm here even, except my, bride to be knows I'm here. Who? Hello? It's Bruce Fairbairn, the producer. He's working on a Aerosmith record and called me. He heard Heated. He heard the song Better Get Used to It and called to ask me about that drum sound. I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
you what? Okay, no, wait a sec. Who's this again? Are you really? How did you? Really? So you tracked me down to
Yeah.
ask me about that drum sound. Good day to be me, man.
Yeah.
I thought I was over the moon. He's like, well, what are you doing this afternoon? I think whatever you tell me to, apparently. So I jumped in the cab and went to his studio and had a tour of Bruce's studio. And I thought, wow, what a nice fella. What a generous, act of kindness to bring me in and show me his studio and give me this. Nope. He put me in the control room and said, okay, now seriously though, what were you doing? How were you miking those? What kind of drums were they? And you put a tablecloth over them? Wow, we used to do that in the 70s. What? Okay, and so then what did you do? He was pumping me for info. He was like,
That's
he wanted to
amazing.
know mics, placement, tuning of the drums, the weight of the sticks, like the whole deal. He was like, I got to get me some of that. Like, cool, man. Okay, sure. I didn't invent it. I just used it. So sure.
So is that the Pump album? If we go to the album credits, so we're going to be able to see.
I don't think I got credit
No
on
credit in it.
Kiss's Psycho Circus record. But that was a great, I talked to him a few times after that, just about production, studio stuff, So I've had a chance to work with some of the greats and get their validation. I did a record with Warren Haynes. It was live DVD audio, so it was 5.1. And I flew to New York, and we were working we were in the same studio as Bowie.
Holy
Which
shit.
that to me was like, what?
What studio is this?
What was that called at the time? Looking Glass. It's not there
Okay.
anymore. But I went to Looking Glass, Philip Glass's studio. And so I was working with Warren Haynes, mixing this. I mean, it's a 4 or 5 hour concert. We're trying to get it down to a DVD length, mixing in 5.1, but on an analog desk. And Warren Haynes, the analog guy, he loves that fat old 70s sound. And we're trying to make something that was recorded on a modern recording rig at a live venue, make it sound cool. I'm like, well, we've got all these tape machines. I bet we could mix this to tape on a multi-track machine, not the 2-inch. You have different formats. When you record on a multi-track machine, you have 16 or 24 tracks that you can record on a 2-inch wide tape. But when you mix the final thing that people end up hearing, it would get mixed to a 1/2-inch size tape,
Okay.
which only has a left and a right on it. Right? But now it's 5.1, so what am I going to do? I need 6 tracks to record on because each track would go to a separate speaker. No one's ever done this in analog. So how am I going to do that? Well, they had a 16-track machine. I thought, well, that'd be cool. I'll just mix to 6 of the 16 tracks.
Okay.
And then, yeah, that'll be cool, right? We could do that. And so I did that. So now we're listening in 5.1 analog. And all the dudes in the studio are going like, dude, did you really? Oh, my God. I never thought of that. It sounds badass. Well, yeah, it should do. It's got this great old gear.
Yeah.
No one had dusted off the 16-track machine in years. Like, amazing. this is great. Except that you are mixing this for video, right? It has to be able to lock to a thing called SMPTE code, which is the digital code that they spit with all of the video so that all the video locks to the audio.
Okay.
But yeah, I forgot about that for it.
So
when it came time to go to mastering with George Marino, who was arguably the top mastering engineer in history, there's like 4 guys or 5 guys you can name in the history of audio mastering. George Marino's pretty high. If he's not the number 1 guy, he influenced the number 2, 3, and 4 guys. Like, he's the dude. So George is going to master this for us. So I sat in a taxi cab with the audio with Warren, my boss, he's my friend, but today he's Mr. Haynes. So we're good because I might have just had the fuck up of the century because I've mixed the whole record like this, a 4-hour live DVD. So we go to George's studio and I'm sitting on that back couch and man, I'm sweating bullets. I'm just thinking, oh God, what have I done? And now I'm going to get a spanking in front of everybody from the hand of God. Like, I'm George Marino's about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Well, I mean, New York was cool, but you know, the flight home. At least it's a short flight, you know. And he put up the audio and he listened to it, and the 5.1, he put it up and went, "What did you mix this? Yeah, it sounds really good. It sounds really good. What did you do? This sounds really good." And he just kept turning it up louder and louder. And I'm just waiting for that other shoe to drop. He turned the volume down and said, "So what did you do about SMPTE code?" I said, "Yeah, about that. Well, the thing is, I didn't think about that until," and he said, "Well, what machine did you use?" I said, "It was a Studer A800 with a 16-track head block." And then he asked the engineer, he said, "So you mean the Studer A800 at Looking Glass? So it's this model number or whatever, you know, it was one of the last analog tape decks they ever built." And George just said, "You know, it sounds so good. And those machines were rock solid. I don't care what anybody says, digital this, digital that. Those machines were rock solid, man. This sounds so great. I don't care. You know what? We should master this. And you tell your video guys to just deal with it. It's going to be fine anyway. They're not going to. It's not going to. I bet it doesn't drop out of sync. I bet you don't lose 0.2 of a second at the end of an hour. You know what? I wouldn't worry about it."
Wow.
All right, I'll just be outside for a while. I might use the men's room. I mean, I was
Pulled one right out of your ass.
Oh my God.
Wow.
What a relief. But then he's cranking it up and Peter Frampton's voice was coming out of the speakers because I got to mix Government Mule with Peter Frampton and Jackson Brown and this list of amazing performers. I was like, okay, wow. Now I can relax. I'm hearing Peter Frampton's voice come out here. No, I'm not being sent home in shame.
Now you can enjoy it.
Now I can enjoy it. But what an incredible! Yeah, it was a bit of a gamble, but he just said it sounded so good. He said, "Make it. You're not gonna have a problem." And we didn't have a problem. No one ever asked again about the code. They were able to. It's gotten easier in modern times to be able to sync audio and video. You can just, it's you hit the arrow key, you can nudge over. It's easy. In those days, it wasn't that easy. It's 20 years ago. It wasn't quite as easy as that. But no, didn't have a problem with it. So that was a close call.
Was there anything special about that Looking Glass studio? Like listening to some of Philip Glass's work, it's unlike anything that's ever been made before. I think.
It was a wonderful studio, just in terms of the equipment that they had available.
Yeah.
Really anything I could dream of using, they had, which was good because the studio I worked at the time in Texas also had anything you could dream of asking for. Willie Nelson owned it, so they had a guitar-shaped swimming pool. I mean, you could have anything you needed in there. Oh, let's sing into that mic. Oh, who was the last person to sing into that microphone? Nat King Cole. What? Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole, Nat King Cole,
Yeah.
chestnuts roasting. That microphone? Yeah, you can use it. What? What about this microphone? Oh yeah, that's the one Johnny Cash liked to sing in when he came here. I'll have that one.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
please.
So kind of amazing,
Yeah.
like when you're standing on those floorboards, you bring your A game every day, and it puts, especially on young musicians, you go, okay, sing into that mic. Make sure you don't touch it though, because that's the mic that Johnny Cash sings into. Oh, Willie Nelson has also sung into it a few times, but don't worry about that.
Which I'm sure,
It's-
depending on the personality type, it's either going to make you elevate your game or make you so scared shitless. There's no way in hell I can sing into
it
the.
brings your A game out for sure, guy, because then guys feel like this is the golden
It's an
microphone.
honor.
I'm not going to get this
Yeah.
opportunity again.
Yeah, so pretty amazing studio to work at. But no, Looking Glass was a wonderful facility when it was happening. I don't think it is now, but the best thing that happened of the week actually wasn't the ass-saving
Okay.
mastering day, but Bowie's engineer
Right.
kept going down the hallway from the next studio, and he's kind of giving me the hairy eyeball. I was like, I'm in there working, and he'd kind of walk by the door and give me the once over. I'm like, is it because I borrowed that compressor? I thought we asked. He said he was cool. And does he need it back? What's the deal with this guy? He keep walking by and just giving me the once over. So I just happened to be walking out into the kitchen area one day as he was walking by, and he walked right up to me and looked me in the face and went, I thought so. You're that dude from Big Sugar. Yes.
Wow.
You're that dude who works with David Bowie. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, I
Wow.
saw you play in Toronto, man. What are you doing here? I couldn't believe that was you. I can't believe it's me either. Yeah, pretty cool. To get recognized by dudes like that. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, it's outrageous. Man. So what's next? You've got this history, all of these stories.
You know what's funny? Like honestly, we haven't touched on the Grady stuff. We haven't touched on Sit Down Servant.
Oh yeah.
We haven't touched on the carpal tunnel.
Have you written a book yet?
I think we need a book.
Maybe, man. A little fireside chat. Yeah, I got a million of them, as it turns out.
Yeah.
What's next, though, is this is really a rebuilding year, I think, for us. Which I mean, we've already had a year of trying to figure out what we're going to do. The future is a little uncertain. I didn't really know what to do after Gary Lowe passed away.
Yeah.
But what we did was get right in the studio and make a record, which was Eternity Now, and I'm super proud of it. It came out March 20th, 2020. Yeah, awesome. So that record's sort of lost to history. I mean, it's out there, people can hear it. But we never got to tour it. It'll end up being 2 years by the time we go out and play. So it's given me a time to stop and reflect and think about what Big Sugar means to me, what I want to present to people. I've never done the same thing twice. I mean, Big Sugar's had 30 different dudes have been in the band over decades. It's always been me expressing myself and getting people who are like-minded and on the same page as me at the time to do that, So I'm looking at trying to rebuild a Big Sugar that I think is current and represents what we want to say now, even with our older music, because to me it's a living breathing thing. It's not just recreating a list of hits from back in the day and going out there and collecting the paycheck from the casino. You know what I mean? That's never been appealing to me. I'll keep making new stuff and continue to breathe life into the old stuff, or why do it? And if only 300 people want to come and see me, I can still remember the day when there was no way I was getting 300 people to come and see me. 30 would have blown my mind. So it doesn't matter how many people are coming out to see it. If they like it, or if they love it even better, it's going to be good enough for me. I just want it to still be, like I said, a living, breathing thing. So this has given me a chance to get some different people together and make Big Sugar music in a different way so that when they do open everything up for real and it stays open and we can come out and it's safe and we can put on rock shows again, I want it to be one hell of a rock show.
Yeah.
Like when I come out, I'll be ready to play. Well, I've had lots of time to practice. You know what I mean? I've had lots of no end of time to sit at home and play the guitar. So I'll be ready to come out and give people something new and something old, but an exciting version of the old as well. And also maybe a book.
I think the book has to.
An audio book.
Audiobook for sure, for sure.
Well, you know,
I want Gibbons to narrate it as me.
Yeah,
I want him to read it for me.
at the same time, I think every time we ever had you in for a radio interview, I was like, Gordie's got to do a radio show. Like, the voice is perfect. The storytelling is so good. So, audiobook version of the biography.
Did I ever come into the station and do like traffic or weather?
You
'Cause I
came in,
have
so you knew our afternoon guy, Fui.
Yeah.
Really well. So you came in and you did a full afternoon show. You did the full show with Fui. I mean, we had you in for several interviews, and the time you guys came in with, I think you had about 12 guys with you, and packed into that little studio.
Yeah, that's right.
Playing in there as well. But yeah, you did the whole afternoon show with Fui that one time, and every time you'd come in, I'd be like, damn, Gordie's got to do radio. But like, I'd settle for the audio
I
book.
kind of love the traffic and weather people because they're just like top of the hour. They come in, put the headphones on. Bit of a backup on Taylor Drive that'd be clear at 38th Street. You know, whatever. I love that. It's like, wow, man, that was a tight 15 seconds, man. Oof. I love that. To me, that's just like an art to that. Dudes who can just hit their mark like that. Oh, I love it.
Well, we'll start doing traffic and weather updates on this show
I think
if
that's
you
what we
want
need
to start
to do.
coming in for it.
It's hard to predict for you're going to broadcast this in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming in, man. This has been a real pleasure.
Unbelievable. We'll
for
need
me
to do
too.
it again.
Yeah, we could do that anytime I'm around.
So what's
I
the
got
plan?
more-
Yeah, you guys will stick around here until September and then back, because your kids are like, your oldest is done school now, right?
Yeah, well, I've got one in university, one starting university, and another one starting middle school. Whoops, it's a bit of a
Little
gap,
gap.
there. We took a bit of a break, and then whoops. So yeah, no, I'll be going to volleyball games and taking kids, picking them up at the school bus and stuff. I'll still be doing that, but then I've got 2 in university, so kind of cool.
That's great.
Right on, man.
Thank you.
Love.
All right.
Let's do it again. Let's have them back.
What do you mean?
Can we do a
Hey,
part?
Gordie.
Can we do a part 3?
Don't leave just yet. We want to sit down for another 3 hours. Yeah.
I totally could.
Something like that.
There's so much ground left uncovered that we didn't get to in however long that was.
Yeah, for sure. So that was a pleasure. Go check out Big Sugar put out a new record last March, he said, right?
Last March, yep, Eternity Now.
Um,
What, Ontario guy, how much farm experience do you have? I love Gordie's experience of his first time on the farm, all dressed up in his Hugo Boss wear. And
my farm experience in Ontario has literally been in the last 6 years because my good friend moved from the city to a farm. So every time I go home, I'll go and hang out there for a day. I'll
Yeah.
say, hey, put me to work. And then 5 minutes later, I say, fuck this. No, I'm just joking. I enjoy my 1 day a year usually on the farm, pulling weeds or something. I don't know, but it's I've definitely never stuck my entire arm
never
into
been
a cow.
Never been pulling calves.
No, but I would love. We should set up a concert with Gordie and just cows.
Yeah, I think
Get your cattle, wrangle them up. I don't know how that works. Bring them to
imagine
some farm.
like a Woodstockian field,
Just
of
cows.
750,000
Yeah, exactly.
cows.
That's what I'm saying. Just nothing but cattle. And he can sing and sing and sing, and then we can talk to him for another 2 hours.
Okay, let's do it.
So shout out to him, and shout out to Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewing, Tourism Red Deer, Bose Barn Stage.
Producers Ryan and Ryley, Communal Creative Studios here in Red Deer, where the magic happens.
Rate and review us on iTunes, and make sure you, seriously, go subscribe to the Bose Barn Stage YouTube account. You probably have Google, which means you're logged into YouTube at all times. And you have yet to harness the true power of it.
And then it gives you this cool little notification, bing, when a new episode of The Road, the Stage. You don't even have to think about it.
And hey,
It's
if
just
you don't like notifications, turn it off and just know that we have a new episode every Wednesday. Wednesday, 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 Wednesday,
The Road, the Stage is produced by Ryan Kuly and Ryley Surian at the Communal Creative Studios in Red Deer, Alberta. In partnership with Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewing Co., Tourism Red Deer, and Beau's Bar and Stage.